Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya.
Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki
Jai.
Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanam. With grateful pranams, we shall appreciate the grace that provided us this opportunity to sing His name together. Everything is grace, and it's no small grace either that we are able to do a satkarya, a sadhana of chanting the name of our Guru Bhagwan. We shall see again today how Bhagwan's Nama helps us, guides us, and protects us. Oftentimes in life, we come across a situation where we are left off, alone, not knowing which direction to turn to, not having anyone to help us. The only way out is dependence on God, calling out His name for help. It's only when man is reduced to utter helplessness, we turn to God. And that is why situations develop. Situations are orchestrated by God to remind us that He is the only companion, the only source of help and grace. Now we shall see again one or two very simple incidents. Not exactly simple. When we go through the experience of another person, we relive the experience ourselves, and then it becomes ours. It's no more someone else's. And Bhagwan said, such reliving draws a great gift of grace from God. Sridhar of Hyderabad once went in a group of 7 for trekking in the Kodaikanal hills. After some climbing, after some trekking, the group somehow fell into divisions according to their strength and the speed. A group of 4 began to walk fast, and they moved away with the guide And Sridhar was left alone in the middle, and two others were coming slowly far behind him. He could not walk fast to join the first four, nor could he slow down to join the other two. He was caught in the middle. And there were huge, dense bushes all around. They started at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they were trekking and trekking and trekking. They had to reach the summit. Now, caught in the middle and in utter helplessness, his mind was stupefied. He did not know if he was going in the right direction at all. So he called out loudly the name of the guide who joined the other four and was walking far ahead. There was no response from him. Again, desperately, he called out the name of the guide, but in vain. No response. Now he began to panic. He thought he was left all alone, and there were only bushes and bushes, dense bushes all around. Not knowing if he was going in the right direction at all. And that's when suddenly it flashed. I'm calling out to the guide, the human guide. There is the divine guide for the whole life, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And suddenly, he knew what he had to do. He called out loudly, desperately, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And suddenly, out of nowhere, two butterflies appeared a little away, little in the front, away from him, and they began to move, as though they were dancing and going ahead, leading him on. He was surprised now to see the butterflies and felt very happy that he was being guided by Bhagwan himself. Bhagwan had often promised that if people called out, he would come in the form of a butterfly. And true to that, when he called out Yogi Ramsuratkumar, two butterflies, not just one, two of them, very cheerfully dancing with each other, moving on in the front. And it looked as though Bhagwan was leading him personally. So after a little distance, he called out now, this time, the name of the guide, the human guide. Again, there was no response. Because he had to reach them. He wanted to know where they were. And again, he moved ahead a little more, and the butterflies moved away. He called out the name of the guide. Again, there was no response from him. But this time, somebody called out in return, "Who is it?" And the voice was not that of the guide who went with the four. To make sure that he heard it right, again he called out the name of the guide. And now there was a response again, and it was, "Who is it?" Now he did not know who it was, because the sound was very different. Now he called out Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And the minute he called out Yogi Ramsuratkumar, a man came out of a very dense bush. He was wearing a black dhoti and a black shirt. He came near and then he asked Sridhar how he found himself to be there. When Sridhar explained that 4 people had gone ahead with the guide and 2 people were left behind, and he was caught alone and he did not know the way out, and it was the turn of this man in the black dhoti to explain who he was. He said he was one of those, the mountain people who lived there, the mountain tribes, that he had in a nearby village a hut for himself. There's a village nearby called Dandikudi. He would often go from his village to this place to bring provisions for the month, rice and other groceries. So he said he was returning with all the groceries to his village. And then he asked if Sridhar needed guidance. Of course, Sridhar was very happy that this man was offering. And when he agreed, the man said, okay, it doesn't matter. I would take you to the summit myself. I would see that you join the other people. And then he accompanied Sridhar to the summit where the other 4 were waiting. Sridhar knew after that man left, it flashed, it struck him that it could be no one but Yogi Ramsuratkumar himself. When he desperately called out and the butterflies moved away, someone who looked very strange in a black dhoti and black shirt, offering to accompany him up to the summit. Who could it be except his Gurunath, Gurudev, Yogi Ramsuratkumar? This is very symbolic of our life also. Often we find ourselves in situations where we are reduced to utter helplessness. Nobody could possibly help us. Even if there are people around, they might not have the heart to help us, or they might not be in a position to help us. So these are the times we have to turn to our Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar, because Bhagwan said difficult situations are orchestrated by God himself so that people would turn to God. It's a push towards God. Any adversity gives you a push towards God, and therefore it's a blessing in disguise. It's the truth. Now sometimes the situation is a little different. In continuation of what we saw yesterday, a student, a 10th class student, how he received help and grace marks from Bhagwan. This is a small story of one Jaya Aparna of Madurai. Her father says that he used to take the students of 10th standard to Bhagwan's Bhajane Mandir of Anand Roadways in Madurai before the examination, and then they would sing Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama and do some arati, take the blessings of Bhagwan, and then Sri Ramachandran, Jayapanna's father, would instruct all the students to call out to Yogi Ramsuratkumar, to remember Yogi Ramsuratkumar when they come across some difficulty in the examination. And Bhagwan would instantly help them, guide them. Now this time what happened, his own daughter, Jayaparna, when she was writing, when she was ticking away the answers to questions, she came across one particular question. It was the principle of AC generator. One answer was electromagnetic induction. The other was electromagnetic radiation. She was not very sure. And then she remembered what her father said. So when she began chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar, she wrote electromagnetic radiation. And she continued chanting, and suddenly, out of nowhere, a butterfly came and sat near her on the same desk. It looked as though Bhagwan was watching her as a butterfly. And suddenly, the coming of the butterfly reminded her or hinted that the answer she had written was not right. She had called out his name, so he had to give her the right answer. So it struck her the answer was not right. So immediately she ticked off the other one, electromagnetic induction. As soon as she did, she knew that was the right answer. And the minute she knew it was the right answer, the butterfly flew away. What a remarkable appearance of Bhagwan. The timely appearance, the timely reminder. This situation is not much different from the incident where Sridhar was stranded in the middle of a forest. It's all confusion, a directionless confusion. Only God can save us. Now, right now, we find ourselves in a similar situation. The whole world is caught in a similar situation. We are not able to go ahead, nor can we back out. And we have to find a solution right now. And it's the collective karma of the whole world which has invited the present situation, which is also part of the divine plan for cleansing the world. So let's call out Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Let's keep on calling out. We do not know which Nama is going to invite His grace in a grand way. We shall appeal to His generosity. He responded to the call both the times, in both the incidents we saw. So let's call out Yogi Ramsuratkumar.